Hello my dear students. Today I'm here with another video, and in this video I'll be talking about test and examination. As you all know that I have completed this topic in my previous classes, but some of the students couldn't attend my class through Gmeet due to its limitations, and here I am with the explanation on this topic, test and examination. So first let's talk about test. When we talk about a test here, we are referring to educational test. Okay, those tests which takes place in our uh, school situation, teaching and learning environment. So this test, it is meant to measure mental abilities and educational achievement of students. Okay, so how do we do that? We conduct a unit test, class test, or any kind of test in school during the class hour, or at the end of the session, or any time when you do such kind of tests, you will be measuring their mental abilities, and also you will be checking their educational achievement. All right. In these tests, questions related to the mental ability or educational achievement to be measured are asked, which of the students reply, okay, or related problems are presented to which students respond. So any kind of questions from the syllabus or during your teaching process, when you ask, okay, during the class also, that will check the students' mental ability. Okay. And let's see that the main mental ability tests are intelligence test, aptitude test, and personality test. Okay, these different kind of tests will measure mental abilities of the students. And regarding this intelligence, aptitude, and personality test, I have already spoken in my last video. Okay, the main educational ability tests are achievement test and diagnostic test. Achievement test, here we are talking about educational achievement test, okay, academic achievement test, okay, and we are talking about diagnostic test also. So here, as a teacher, you will be able to diagnose the problems of the students in their learning process. Okay, so educational tests can be defined in the following words. Let's see what is it talk about. Educational tests are those tools and methods of measurement of various abilities of students in which related questions about measurable ability are asked, and of which the students have to answer, and related problems are presented in which students have to respond. This is the same thing that I have mentioned here, that related questions related with your academic and all will be asked, and students will respond to those questions accordingly. Okay, so let's see the classification of educational tests, and there are different kind of classifications based on different things. Okay, so first classification is based on the field. Okay, so this field we have two here. One is educational test and another one is psychological test. So in educational test, this will measure the achievement, academic achievement of the student and their learning problems. Okay, and we have this achievement test and diagnostic test as examples. And the next one is psychological test, and it will measure the mental abilities of students. And for this, we have intelligence test, aptitude, and personality tests. And another classification we have here is on the basis of nature. Okay, so nature, we have oral tests, and we have written test, and we have practical tests. So oral test, like we all know, it's performed orally, and it is usually used during primary classes, for the students of primary classes, because for them to write down it takes lots of time, and again in oral test, individual attention can be given to the students. Okay, and also during oral test, teachers can check the vocabulary of students. Okay, and apart from that, a students' posture, their personality, how they deal with the questions, everything can be tested, which are not possible in written tests. Okay, such tests are generally comprised of short answer and objective type tests. Sometimes this oral test may take long time to complete, sometimes just like 5-10 minutes. Also, you can see this oral test in the form of viva voce during interview and all, and we all know why during interview viva voce is very important. Okay, first you get through the written test. Okay, then when you get through the written test, you will be called for the viva voce, and where you will be assessed on the basis of your personality, your vocabulary skills, how you can deal with pressure, and there will be so many things that will be presented in front of you, and you have to deal with it. The aim of teaching a subject is not limited to impart knowledge. Okay, it's not limited to impart knowledge, but apart from this, teaching learning process should develop this entire aspect of the child. Okay, and to check whether his or her all the aspects are developed or no, oral test really helps. And like I said that vocabulary skills can be checked, linguistic abilities can be checked, their pronunciation, okay, lecture expression style, everything can be checked through oral test. Their confidence, the knowledge of other subjects and all, like any kind of questions can be asked during oral test, and you can just check like how they will deal, even if they do not know the answer, how they are going to deal with that situation. Okay, and there will be face to face situation in oral tests and all, and examiner gets an opportunity to know the personal qualities of the examinee. Okay, all right, so let's move on to the next thing that we have is written tests. So in written test, there will be use of pen and paper. There will be a question paper, a set of question paper will be given, and the students will respond to this question paper. Time limit will be given, and they have to complete their written test within the time given. And here there will be essay type question, short type question, or objective type. Then next we have practical tests. So practical test, it depends on the different kind of subject matter, because practical tests are not possible in all the subjects. All right, like we have science, in then we have geography. So these subjects, they need practical tests. Like we have this one also, home science also, where they check the skills, different kind of skills of the students. Also, this fine arts, music and all, there also we need practical test where children will be asked to sing or perform certain kind of yoga, body posture and all. Practical tests are used for the measurement of practical skills and knowledge in art, music, science and other practical subjects. Okay. And why practical tests are important? Because if a doctor or an engineer is not tested as such, a flaw in his or her theoretical knowledge may create havoc. Okay, because the practical knowledge or practical skills need to be tested. If it is not tested and only theoretical knowledge is given to them, their theoretical knowledge may not match up with the practical situation that may arise, and it will simply create problem. Okay, uh, you can just analyze yourself. You guys are B.Ed trainees. Okay, you guys are studying in B.Ed college, which is totally a practical thing. But during this pandemic, you're having all theoretical knowledge. You are not being like, we are not able to send you to schools even to collect data for your FBA. So you do not have that particular personal experience to go to school and collect data, and you are just doing it theoretically. Just you can make out the difference, no, how much you are losing when you're not when you do not get chance to go to the field and have practical experience. Okay, and we have these limitations of practical test. We cannot correctly measure the theoretical knowledge and emotional aspect of the person, and their execution needs comparatively more energy and time. All right, so next we'll move on to the classification of test based on material. So you can see that material, verbal test, non-verbal test. Okay, verbal test is like, it's oral, like we have already discussed. And these tests include those tests in which words or language are used, which may be written or oral. So words or language are used, like when the teacher may speak out the questions, or teacher may talk about something, and as a student you can reply in a form of, spoken, speech. You can speak about the answer, or you can just write down, but you will be tested verbally. Such tests are mostly used in the field of education. Non-verbal tests, this is where, scenery, symbols, signs, pictures are used. Okay, and because this is non-verbal, you can just check. Students are given some kind of symbols and signs, and pictures are shown, and they are given some task that they have to perform. Okay, these tests are used in measurement of intelligence uh, and personality of all persons, whether literate or illiterate, because even illiterate people can, understand those symbols and signs, because here those um, alphabets are not necessary. Okay, it's not necessarily used, but only symbols, signs, pictures, or scenery are used. So even, illiterate children or people, they can be tested through non-verbal test. Okay, so next classification we have here is on the basis of construction, and there we have general tests and standardized tests. General tests are also called teacher-made tests. Okay, these tests are made by the teacher, usually that we see in schools, that are used during unit test or class test or any other kind of test. Those are constructed by the teacher and are used in the field of education, which are weekly, fortnightly, monthly, quarterly, half yearly, and annual examinations. Okay, but the attempts are being made to make these tests valid, reliable, and objective. Here, nothing much can be said, because these tests are very simple, very general, and these are made by the teacher. So we cannot talk about, the validity, reliability, or objectivity of the test. Okay, since these are very simple tests, which are just constructed by a teacher for his or her own use, and can be utilized on student. Okay, so next we have standardized tests. These are constructed by psychologists. These are constructed by very much, professionalists. And here, there are different steps to create standardized tests. First, they prepare a draft according to the measurable objectives, okay, according to the norms set. And when the draft is, constructed, there will be a pilot testing, and in pilot test, they will, check out those statements or questions they have in the test, and when they will check its validity, reliability, and objectivity. And if they find there are some error, they will, modify, or they will delete some of the statements, and they will input some new statements. So these professionals, they really work hard to validate or make it reliable and make it objective. So there are different kinds of standardized tests to measure intelligence, aptitude, and personality. And also there are many things: interest, attitude, um, like, relationships, psychological states of people, mind, and all. To measure all these things, we trust standardized tests, because these are constructed by psychologists. Okay, and these are really difficult to construct comparatively to that of general tests. So next we have classification of tests based on its administration. So individual test and group test. Okay, individual test, here the name itself suggests that here the students are, tested individually, one at a time. For example, oral test. Okay, and during this test, the entire attention is given to the student, because there is only one student who is performing the test, and entire attention of the measurer is given to one student. And since this is individual test, it consumes lots of money, time and energy. On the other hand, group test is very uh, like easy to conduct, because it doesn't consume much time, money and energy. Here, a group of students are taken into consideration and test is conducted on them. Even sometimes, oral tests. Usually written tests, we talk about written tests, which are a form of group test, but oral test also, like viva voce, also conducted on a group of people. Like for example, when a student they apply for PG course in some university, and students are like, applicants are too many, and they have to go through a test. Okay, so first they will be scrutinized based on their marks. Then they will be called for viva voce, and since they are huge in number, so a group of students, 5 or 6 group of students, may be called for oral test. Okay, then they will be done. Then next, again, same number of students can be called for a group test. So next we have classification based on measurement. Okay, so here we will be talking about norm reference test and criterion reference test. So in norm reference test, you can see that there are some norms given. Okay, when we're talking about norm reference test, some norms are set already. Okay, so for example, we have this such kind of exams, like you have to choose some 5 or 6 questions out of given 10 or 12 questions. These are the norms, and as a teacher we have to construct 12 questions, and from these 12 questions we can only expect you to do 6 questions. The norms has been already set. Another thing here is norm reference test will help to rank students based on test achievement. So ranking, okay, like giving them first rank, second rank, third rank and all, and how many students falls under first rank, how many students falls under the second rank. Okay, how we can rank students is because the norms has been already given. Okay, this if you score this percentage, you will fall under this top rank, first rank. If you have scored this much of percentage, then you will fall under second rank. Such kind of norms are set. Another thing here we can talk about is scores are given as rank based on other students' score. Okay, here comparison will be done. Okay, ranking is given, but ranking is given on the basis of other students' performance, other students' scores. Okay, for example, you have scored 98 and you are termed to be first rank holder. Okay, you have scored 98 and you're first rank holder. How you have become first rank holder? Because another student has scored only 78. Okay, another student has scored only 78 or 80. That's the reason you have become first rank holder. Now we are comparing your marks to other students' marks. Even like one student has scored 80% and you have scored 90%. Okay, so here we are comparing and we are giving ranking to students based on their scorings. Okay, and this norm reference test will help in assessing a large number of students. Why it is possible? Because the norms has been set, and based on these norms we can assess as many of students. So in our universities, schools, and we have these competitive exams and all, like NET, SLET or CAT and all, MAT and all. So in all this competitive examination, norm reference tests are used because it is very, very helpful in assessing huge number of students. Okay, so It is developed on a state or national level. Like I already said that, like we have SLET, which is state level eligibility test. Okay, here they have norm already fixed, and based on that norm you will be declared as passed or fail in SLET. Likewise in NET, likewise in CAT or MAT or CSIR and all these norms are set. And of course, this norm reference test will take a longer time period to declare the result, because huge number of students are there, and again we have to check all the students performance based on the norm. So next we have criterion reference test. So it talks about the criteria on the basis of which students will be placed. And here it will help to measure the skills and knowledge of students, knowledge a student has mastered. Okay, that means you will check whether the student has achieved or fulfills that particular criteria or no. Okay, a student has to perform a certain skill. Okay, for example, if you are learning to drive a car, first you will be given only to learn the balancing of steering wheel. So until unless you do not fulfill the criteria of using steering wheel, you will be not given the driver's seat. You will be just sit beside the driver and you will learn to steer the steering wheel. Okay, so you have to fulfill the criteria here, then only uh, you will be given chance to proceed further. Okay, so you have to master the knowledge, master the skill of a particular area, then only you can proceed to another step. Students score here are given in percentage. So when we are talking about educational tests, so in percentage it can be measured. Your performance can be measured in percentage. Okay, and very small number of students can be assessed, checked in this criterion reference test. Okay, comparatively to the norm reference test, and it is developed individually, because individual attention is given to the students here in criterion reference test, like I said, no, like while learning to drive, because when you learn to drive, only like one student at a time is taken care of, and one student at a time will learn to master certain skills. Test usually has a class period, so it has a time limit. So within that time limit you have to complete to master the particular skill. And also here it talks about objective reference test, because many of the people, they said that criterion reference test is nothing but it is objective reference test, where the cognitive domain, affective domain and psychomotor domain are checked, because these educationists take criterion reference tests in the form of these domains. So cognitive domain, where your cognitive abilities are involved; affective domain, where your heart is involved, your emotions are involved, where your thinking ability is involved; and your psychomotor domain is where your physical functions are involved. Okay, for example, learning to learn certain kind of skills, to learn to how to play football, to learn how to play cricket, to learn how to drive, in all by learning all these skills, your cognitive, your affective and your psychomotor domains are involved. I need not to talk about these three domains in detail, because you have already learned this during your first semester. It will take again another class if I continue to explain these. All right, so let's move on to the next classification, and here we will be talking about this classification based on types of question asked in the test. So these are essay type tests, where long answer type, these are also called long answer type tests, and certain word limits are given, like 500 words, 400 words or 250 words. Okay, and there are certain things that you have to you have to understand, that what you have to write. These essay type tests are descriptive, explanatory, discussion, comparison, illustrative, and criticism, etc. Like these questions will carry 15 marks, 20 marks, sometimes 25 marks as well. Okay, and next we will see, let's move on. Merits and demerits are very simple. I need not to, explain in this class. Next is short answer type test. These kind of tests are comparatively very short, and it will be of 5 marks, and you have to answer these questions in very few sentences. Okay, and it will contain objectives, uh, okay, individually, like knowledge, understanding, synthesis, application, analysis, and evaluation. Very short answer you have to give in short answer type question. And okay, classification of short answer type question, extended. So there are three types of classification here. Extended type questions. So extended type questions means there will be something given by the examiner in the test paper, in the question paper, and you have to extend, give an extension to that questions. For example, write down the definition or formula. So what you have to do, you have to define something, or you have to write down a formula. Something is already there, you will be giving an extension to it. Okay, insert or completion. So here something will be given. Okay, the question will be given, a certain kind of statement will be given, and you have to complete the statement by providing appropriate words. Okay. Next we have is, okay, these are merits and demerits and objective type questions. This is also, short. It also comes under short answer type question, and generally it is also called as single word, phrases, numbers, letters, and other symbols. You can respond in these ways. Objective type questions, and scoring of this, objective type questions or short answer type questions are very easy. Okay, so let's move on to next, what we have, merits and demerits. I'm not going to explain. These are very easy. You can go through the note I have already given. Now let's move on to the examination. Okay, examination is to measure cognitive, cognitive, and affective changes in the behavior. Okay, and the behavior of the students. The teacher asks sometimes oral questions from the students and get their answers in the same form. If you give written questions, you'll get answer in the same form. That is what examination here is. Okay, examination and test. Generally, words examination and test are used as synonymous terms, but there is a slight difference between two. The scope of test is larger than that of examination. Okay, why? Because test includes as achievement test, intelligence test, ability test, interest test, personality test, and all. But examination is used for only achievement tests. Okay. And achievement test, this test I have already explained in my earlier classes, also in my earlier video also it is there. I will not explain again and again. Okay, examination also, it is achievement test. This explanation I have given already. Okay, from the viewpoint of form, the first step of the concept of examination is cognitive. Okay, examination, the concept of examination is to measure the cognitive ability, while that of test is cognitive. Okay, so cognitive ability, to measure cognitive ability is examination, and to measure cognitive ability is test. This is what this particular thing says. Now let's see the steps of construction of examination and test. So first let's see the steps of construction of test. Number one is construction of the test. That means first you will construct a test. That means you will construct different questions. Then you will administer. Okay, you will administer. That means how you're going to conduct on students or on different people. Then you will evaluate. Okay, That means you will give marking, you will give certain symbols or signs or likewise. And on the other hand, examination, there are 4 steps. Number 1 is construction of test, that is question paper. Administration of examination, that is like how you are going to administer it in school, in colleges. And evaluation of answer books, the answer books that are submitted by the students, how that thing is there, and different teachers are recruited for this to evaluate their answer books. And then declaration of the result and distribution of the result. So declaration of the result and distribution is very important examination, because students, they need to know their result. Okay, but this is not important, necessarily important in test. Okay, utility of examination. So it will measure educational and psychological abilities, okay, at the time of admission. That means we have different kind of tests, examination like entrance tests and all, in different professional colleges or institutions. So for that, we undergo this examination to see whether the children, the students, the applicants, they are psychologically ready or no for that course, okay, even if their marks are sufficient or no. To measure the effect of teaching on the students from time to time, after teaching a certain a course or certain unit, chapter, you will examine them, you will test their ability. Okay, and next we have measure educational achievement of students at the end of the session. Interest, aptitude, and attitude of this the student. Here also, this examination, you can examine, okay, students' interest, aptitude, or attitude, whether they fit for a particular course or not that they are going to take up. If a student wants to take up music lessons, okay, wants to learn music professionally, and you have to check whether the children, the individual is interested. Interest is different thing. They may be interested, but they may not have aptitude towards learning music. Music is fascinating subject, okay, everybody gets interested to it, but the thing is whether they have aptitude to learn music or no. Of course, if even if they have attitude towards learning music, because attitude means inclination, likeness towards the subject of music, but they should have aptitude, they should have something in them which will tell us that student will learn music. Okay, so these are the things that can be measured through examination. Okay, measure the behavior of the students towards their teacher, principal, and other personnel. Okay, this is also done. Utility of teaching objectives of different subjects. So every subject have their objectives, whether these objectives are being fulfilled or not, that can be also examined. Measure the utility of different teaching methods, different kind of teaching strategies, okay, are there, and modifications are also made time to time, whether these things are helping or no, that can also be examined. To measure the educational utility, co-curricular activity being performed at various levels of education, not only academic here, but also co-curricular non-academic activities can also be examined, whether they are working or no. Okay, next we have educational problems, to find out educational problems of students at different levels of education. All right, so let's see the characteristics of good examination. Validity, reliability, objectivity. Okay, so I have given here to refer the notes test, because whatever we have here in in examination uh, are similar to, some of the things are similar to the tests. Okay, so first thing, the first characteristics of a good examination is validity. That means it has to be valid. Like we have like so many things we have in our life which are valid, we have to check whether they are valid or no. For example, you have your driving license, you have your ATM cards, no, they have certain validity. If that validity is like it passed, if it loses its validity, it will also lose its importance. Okay, you have to renew your driving license, or you have to apply for new ATM card after its validity period to maintain its importance, to make it valued. Okay, likewise, examination also should have a validity. Okay, because sometimes they go they go on changing. Okay, sometimes a modification will happen, and if you keep using the same test questions, same examination questions throughout the session, even like next year, even after 5 years and all, it will not work, it will not be valid, because now the syllabus has changed and you have to come up with new questions from the new syllabus. Okay, it has to be valid. Reliability is, it has to be reliable. Okay, it has to be trustworthy, it has to perform consistently throughout the time. That means when you are constructing questions of class 10, you should take questions from the class 10 only of that particular subject. For example, you are constructing a questions of class 10 history. That means you have to concentrate on class 10 history syllabus. You cannot take questions from class 6 history or class 11 or any other classes, because it will, if you do so, it will lose its validity. People will not trust, students will not trust on the questions. Okay, to maintain the reliability, you have to you have to maintain the norms. The norms is here is that you are constructing a question of class 10 history, and you have to you know take questions from class 10 history only. Objectivity, here we are talking about objectivity is, all the examination, they have particular objective. That means it should help in giving decision, or it should help in making judgment in a fair way. Okay, the examination, the objective of examination is to help to make judgment. Number one objective, and this is the only objective that examination has, to make judgment or to make decision. That means student A, B, C, this A, B, C, these three students have scored 98%, and they are the top, they comes under top 5 student in whole school. Okay, two students may be from some other maybe some other class, but from this particular class these three students have scored 98% and they comes under top 5. So now you are giving a judgment here. Top 5 students are student A, B and C. Okay, and you are giving this decision unbiasedly, because you have the numbers with you, you have the percentage with you, and on the basis of this you can give judgment. Okay, here the objectivity of examination is to give judgment, is to make a fair decision without any biasness. Okay, so next, this validity, reliability and objectivity are very important characteristics. And other characteristics are norms. Like I already said about norms during the explanation of reliability, there are certain norms that you have to follow. If the questions you are constructing for class 10, it has to be from the syllabus of class 10. Likewise, okay, there are norms. Also, marking system also comes under norms. How much marks you're going to give for a short answer type, how much marks you're going to set for long answer type, how many questions are to be there in long answer, short answer or objective, and how many choice based questions you're going to give. These all are the norms that are set beforehand, and on the basis of these norms the questions are constructed. Next is discrimination. Discrimination is also one of the characteristics here. The examination, a good examination should be able to discriminate students based on their percentage, based on their performance, based on their scoring. Okay, that is, this many students are top rank holder, or this many students are high achiever, this many students are average achiever, and this many students are low achiever. This way discriminations are given. Comprehensiveness, that is, examination should be comprehensive in nature. It should include all the knowledge, everything that have been taught during the course, and the examination should include everything in one question paper. Okay, practicality, that is utility. You can this examination question paper that you have constructed should be practical. Okay, it should be able to fit to use. Okay, then next we have classification of examination. This is just like the test that I have already explained beforehand, and oral, written and practical examinations also similar to the test, that is that explanation is given already. And essay type, short type answer, or objective type answer in examinations are also similar to that test. You can just go through and you will have the idea of it. So this much for your test and examination. The explanation on this topic is over. All right, and I hope this explanation is going to help you for your reference later on. And I will stop here. Okay, and see you all in next session, next class.